In 1989, News Channel 5 produced the very first Valley football preview show, and 20 years later, the tradition continues. Hi, I'm Joel Villanueva, and for the next half hour, we'll visit the Valley's 44 football teams, give you our predictions, and offer some extra stories along the way. First up, we examine the Valley's most successful team in recent history. Every sports team has a turning point, some for the good, some for the bad. Since a 5-5 campaign in 2002, Edcal Chelsea has a record of 62-9. The Yellow Jackets' turning point was nearly 6 years ago in a big game that many still remember. October the 30th, 2003, Edcal Chelsea and Porter faced off at a packed Sam Stadium where there were so many fans that extra bleachers had to be brought in. With a minute left in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys' Billy Garza found Steve Garcia for a touchdown that tied the game at 28. However, Edcal Chelsea would respond in overtime with their own touchdown and this play. A fumble recovery by Mario Cavazos to give the Yellow Jackets a 35-28 win. Since their turning point, Edcal Chelsea has won 6 straight district titles. The question now is, will this be the year another team has their own turning point? Our good friend Tony Farina has this year's 32-4A district preview.
Over the past few years, the contenders have come and gone, but one thing has remained the same: Edcal Chelsea's taste for victory. The Yellow Jackets enter the new season having won 39 consecutive district games. This year, 4 schools have new head coaches in hopes of finally dethroning La Máquina.
We know there's some great coaches, new coaches just like myself, the team with a lot of great tradition, and we certainly know that we have not stacked up to them in the past. Our goal is to show that we fit right in there.
Back in the 80s and 90s, Mission was a powerhouse here in the valley. You know, where everybody would look up to Mission and their standings. You know, they were used to going 3 and 4 rounds into the playoffs. You know, we want to take this program back to those glory days.
I think one of the blessings that we have is I'm taking over a program that I've been a part of for the last 4 years, and for the last 4 years we've been improving every single year.
The kids that are here played a lot as sophomores last year, so they got a lot of experience in a tough district. It's hard to play as a sophomore and have a whole lot of success, but they are a year older now, and they know what we expect.
I feel we're going to go in there in this season, and we don't have to depend on whether a team stops one of our players or our best player. I think they're going to have to look at everything.
We got a lot of players that have heart and dedication, and they always work hard to be number one, and we're going to be number one.
The hope for Weslaco this season is to fill the void left by Andrew Alvarado, the Wildcats' top rusher in 08.
On the offensive side of the ball, we got 4 offensive linemen that were starters, a quarterback and a running back, but they will be well complemented with some young talent that we're very excited about having.
We played a lot of tight games last year, and the focus the whole offseason really has been finishing. We just got to learn to finish whatever it is we're doing, and that's going to lead us to victory on the field.
We're pretty much going to be a dominant run team. Of course, we will be multiple, try to spread it out, but the heart of our offense is our offensive line and our backfield.
With a new system in place, Mission should have enough to edge out the Edcal Chelsea Yellow Jackets for the district championship. Mercedes is third, followed by Juarez Lincoln, who will fight for their first playoff appearance in school history.
As much as high school football is a big story this time of the year, sometimes there are bigger stories. Last year, Hurricane Dolly made landfall just weeks before the start of football practice. In Port Isabel, the Tarpons say the storm has made them stronger.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tropical Storm Dolly has now become a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico.
If we just zoom down over here, you can see the dock. You can see the water level continuing to rise.
July 2008, Dolly hit hard. It tore apart Port Isabel and flooded Bubba Gonzalez's home.
We had water coming into the cracks, and we were just all trying to hold up as a family.
He wasn't the only one either.
There's a handful of players that had lost their houses last year, and that football was the last thing on their mind.
Players took time to rebuild at home, but wind and water damage left their team headquarters unusable.
Good stuff right there! It was gross. I heard it was mold on the ceiling. I heard like a type 4 mold or something like that. We weren't even allowed to go in.
It's hard to gel when you're dressing in your car and I'm dressing in mine, and there's not much communication.
For almost a year, the Tarpons had no place to work out, so instead they worked out inside this hot maintenance building where during the summer players were sweating and equipment was rusting.
We needed some new stuff, and a lot of people we play have 2 gyms, and we were
at a disadvantage there when it comes to practicing and things like that.
That was then, this is now. What difference a season makes for the Tarpons, who now have a brand new weight room, complete with new weights, new racks, new flooring, and even a brand new window for Coach to watch his favorite team. And there's more, a brand new locker room plus a brand new gym.
The hurricane, it kind of knocked things for a loop, and it puts things in perspective.
A year after Dolly, some things have changed in Port Isabel, but one thing remains the same.
Once we put the pads on, it's all about football. It's a small town, but we love football. We put all we have into it.
Under a new realignment last year, 32-3A was bigger in size and bigger in competition. The one team that did stand out was Rio Hondo, but the graduation of playmaker Joseph Vela has left the Bobcats searching for new talent.
We graduated 29 athletes, which was very big for us, but we still have a good senior nucleus here together. And with those guys pushing these younger guys, I think we're going to have a good season.
I like to tell our kids we're a balanced offense. We like to throw deep, we like to throw intermediate, and we like to throw shallow. So the O-line is going to set the tempo for offense, and we're banking on them to do that.
We finished in a sour note last year, and the kids want to redeem themselves.
I see a lot of speed. Everybody's real fast, real quick. It's hard to keep up. Everybody's always pushing each other.
Our throwing is coming around, and that's something that we're going to be looking at and focus on a lot more. We do have a great running back in Armando Pintor coming back.
If there's one team that has a tough act to follow this season, it's La Feria. Last year, the Lions became the first Valley team to win a playoff game in the Alamo Dome.
A lot of people say, no one's going to win in the Alamo Dome. You can't pass San Antonio. Well, that gave us a hope and a feeling that, we have something to push for and that we can do it again.
There's a great tradition here, and I think the last couple of years our kids haven't been very hungry that they can just, live on the past, and, you can't do that. So hopefully we can get back in that mode and earn it back.
In Hidalgo, the Pirates have a new captain on deck this year with the arrival of Robin Kirk.
I feel like, after watching films numerous times of all the teams in our district, it is a very tough district. There is not one team in there that you could say you got a surefire win.
A power shift this year gives Port Isabel our top spot. Lyford is second, followed by La Feria in third. Coming up on the Valley Football Preview Show, a look at our 5A schools, plus later, a story about the man behind the stripes.
Valley Football Preview is supported by the Burton Company, Valley Grande Institute, Valley Grande Manor, and McDonald's.